Hi, welcome back to Smart Mom. This month we're going to talk about guardianship. Power of attorney? Absolutely not. We're going to talk about an alternative 101 this month with Smart Mom. Now usually I have my monthly timeouts, but this time we're going to do a little lesson because I think this is a lesson that needs to be learned. Now with Dustin, he just turned 18, if anybody is keeping up with my videos. And like most of us, moms with autism, I just assumed I could get away with a power of attorney with my son. That's not the case. So I had no choice but to look into guardianship. But when I went into guardianship, I was a little surprised with some things in that as well. So I decided I'm going to bring you this video because this is information I think you need to know. Now, when it came to the courts, I certainly don't want to bring my son Dustin into a courthouse. It's a very crazy place, which if anybody's been there, you don't want to do that as well. But when I came into the idea of the guardianship versus the power of attorney, I realized parents have no legal rights after their kids turn 18. And we all know this, but we basically take it for granted when it comes to our children with disabilities. We think we have total say with them after they turn age 18, and we think, oh, we can do the power of attorney. Even if you are an adult with a disability, there are no handicaps, there's no exclusions, there's no exceptions, and that means even if you are the biological parent, there's no exceptions. You have no choice but to look into a power of attorney, or you're going to have to look into becoming a guardianship. Now, power of attorney, that's a tricky one. I thought that was something I could do. It's not something you can do if your child has no understanding of what he's being asked of. When it comes to that, it's a written document in which one person appoints another person to act as an agent on his or her behalf. Now, right there in itself, if your child is asked, can I live with my mom and dad? And they say yes, they have to understand what they're actually saying. If they don't, a power of attorney is not going to work. So, I mean, it is a good idea if you can. If you have maybe a higher functioning, maybe an Asperger's child, then that would be something you could do. But with me, autism is not going to work with a power of attorney. So, therefore, I had no choice but to look into other options, which unfortunately was going to be the guardianship. So, with the guardianship, I decided I was going to try to look into getting some estimates, some free consultation. I did not find free consultation. I found most attorneys telling me that I had to basically come in and talk to them. It was a cut and dry amount as far as their hourly fees go, but the time is not going to be immediate. So the fees I was concerned about piling up over time, especially when I'm hearing the process it takes getting the guardianship of your, well, now adult. So I wanted to make sure I bring all this stuff into light for you. We obviously have talked about what the power of attorney does, but what about the guardianship definition? Okay, a guardian is a person who has been appointed by the court on behalf of the wards, person, property, or both. The guardian may exercise only the rights that have been removed from the ward and delegated to the guardian. Now, sounds good, but what's the cost, right? So you think to yourself, it's what I need to do. That's what I was assuming I had to do. I thought I had to become a guardian. That was my only choice. I thought I was going to have to sit at the table, talk to the attorney, and I was really concerned on how Dustin was going to handle all this, sitting, in a room that he's not familiar with, and, sitting for a long period of time is very difficult for him still. So I wanted to avoid this situation. Now, before becoming a guardianship is established, there are already fees and costs. I mean that by saying expect a variety of fees and costs that you will be responsible for on behalf of your disabled child or a young adult. Just to start, just to file the petition, you're looking at, what, $100 to $500, depending on what state you're in. Some states have a fixed rate, and this is Florida, so I don't know what yours is going to be like if you're in a different state. I'm not even sure if they offer the alternative I'm going to give you later on in the video here. But in the meantime, make sure you really look into these things. You're going to see what I'm talking about as far as their fees, and you'll understand, and you might get a little concerned about the time frame you're looking at and how much money this is going to tally up over a period of time. So therefore, we wanted to get into more here. The attorney can file a petition for a fee, that there is standard hourly rate, and like I said, they do have fixed rates usually. These are fees that you are going to have to take care of promptly if the court appoints you an attorney. There are more fees to expect. You've got copies of paperwork, the delivery of the petition, other documents that need to be submitted. Of course, there's attorney's time, and needless to say, the time itself is a little unnerving. So you really want to try to keep that time down, but what choice do you have? You have to go through the process. So when you look at what I've stated here, it seems like quite a bit, and you're getting a little nervous, I'm sure, if you don't already know this information. So we're going to go further into see about additional fees to expect. Now, the court's going to appoint 3 medical professions to do a thorough exam of the ward. Again, that's the person that's disabled that you're trying to become guardian for. This also is a cost to you. I can't even conceive how much a physician is going to cost for just going in and getting these tests done and any lab work or anything else that might come into play. Hopefully you'll have medical insurance to help you out a little bit there, right? So in addition, you've got the petitioner will also be responsible for the background check, fingerprints. You do have to pay for those as well. Of course, let's not forget about attorney fees. You've got bonding fees, you've got court fees, and so on. I mean, this all adds up. And who's got that kind of money laying around? I mean, personally, I don't think we've ever gotten out of the recession, so this was pretty scary when I saw all that I was in for. I just had to bring this to you. Okay, so now the definition of guardian advocate. A guardian advocate means a person appointed by a written order of the court to represent a person with disability, developmental disability under the Florida statute section 393.12. Now this only came out about 8 years ago, so that's a reason why some of us don't know about it. I was fortunate enough to come across it, and I found that it is a less restrictive way of guardianship. It was almost as if someone out there put this together for families just like mine. When I went and I researched this advocacy, I also found out that there was a lot of similarities with it as far as appointing the guardian. It's the same thing basically that a guardian would do. So when you look at it, you think, okay, so there's got to be some differences. But I looked and honestly I just did not see any differences except for the 2 that I'm going to mention here in a few minutes. Now the responsibilities of a guardian, it's the same powers, duties, and responsibilities that are required of a guardian. Now I highlighted that because doesn't that just say it all? When you look at this, and I had to look at it a couple of times because I just found it hard to believe, but here was my checklist. This is all I needed to do in order to become my son's guardian advocate. That's it. I know it seems like a bit, and when you look at these forms, which by the way, for my county, I could not find these forms. They knew about the guardian advocate, but with finding these forms, they didn't have it up online for me to take care of yet. So I did go to another county, which was honored by the county I'm with, and once again, this is for Florida. I don't know this is the same for your state, so just look into it is all I'm saying. See if you have that alternative of a guardian advocate. When you go in there, you've got your letter to the courts, the clerk of courts, and that basically has the check off of everything you're going to give them. Now, if you go to www.awaythroughautism.com, that is my website, I will have a link there for you to go to a link where you can actually revise these forms. And I say that because if you're in one certain county, those are going to need to be revised because they're stating a different county. That's all I did. I revised the judicial court, I did revise the guardian to be guardian advocate. There were just little things like that, and it all worked out I mean, just wonderfully. But here's the thing, when I started looking through all of these little checklists that I had to do, there was one that caught my eye. This one right here is the reason I brought the video to you, okay? This doesn't apply anymore to families like mine with autism. This applies to if your son has one of the disabilities below, you are also able to become a guardian advocate. This is a person who has the following disability that manifested before the age of 18. Like I said, it's almost as if they put this in effect for families like ours, and it's about time because life has been unfair already as is. So you see the choices we have here, not just autism. So if you have any of these disabilities that your child that is becoming an adult has, check it off and become the guardian advocate. It is an option I just know you're going to find beneficial and less stressful, and it's just going to make your life so much easier. With the additional paperwork you might need to bring. Now, I needed a letter from his medical doctor stating that he was unable to care for himself or work. That's basically what they were doing with the guardianship, only you're having to pay for doctors. I was able to bring in a letter from his doctor. I was also able to bring in an IEP, which has to be recent, as well as a therapy evaluation report that I got from his therapist, his OT. And then I had a background check or fingerprinting, which, by the way, check into that before you do it, because I found out after I'd already done that it could have been waived possibly, considering I was his biological parent. So look into that before you pay that fee. It's just a little bit more of a savings. Now, I went in and I had to fill out and notarize by the clerk of court a civil indigent form. I think I'm pronouncing that correct. That is basically the form that's going to pave the way for getting away from those attorney fees. I say that because this form is basically going to be your link to hire an attorney for your son, not you. And that form is going to be the one that's going to help you get your son. They're going to basically go on your son's income, which my son had the Social Security income, so that's all I put down. So basically it didn't cost me anything. And I was able to meet with the attorney without a cost. Everything was it was amazing. So what can a guardian and a guardian advocate do? Asking your question that, right? I had to ask myself that. So here we go. A guardian cannot do A through F, okay? Now I say A through F because I want you to look at this next page and see. There's quite the similarities. They're a little bit reworded, but basically you can't commit your ward to the institution. You can't do experimental procedures. You can't dissolve a marriage. You cannot do sterilization or abortions. You cannot terminate life support. These are things that you cannot do as a guardian. However, what about a guardian advocate? Now, I kept asking myself, there's got to be something different here, right? This is just too easy compared to what I was informed a guardian was going to have to do. So when I looked further into it, I also came across A through F for a guardian advocate. And as you can see, they're all the same. They're reworded differently slightly, just a little bit, but they're all the same. And the only thing you can do is get it, you have to go through the courts if you have to make some different changes, any special changes. And you do at the end of the year, of course, have to update your information, which those forms are also available. So if you were curious about that. So when you look at these, you say, why didn't I just do the guardian advocacy? Well, like me, you didn't probably know about it. So that's why I'm bringing you this video. And that's why I'm hoping that this video is going to open your eyes and just relieve
so here we are,
where your guardianship in a nutshell, basically you're looking at the approximate cost is $1,500 or more. And you are reading that right. This is what I came up with, and it just seems insane because it's also going to take you 6 months or longer for this process. Now, imagine how much that lawyer is going to charge you for that amount of time. And like I said, the lawyer's fees alone can eat a person up. I'm going to find an alternative for you, and that's what I'm bringing to you right now. This is what you're looking at. So now you can stop, you can breathe, and you can listen to me, and hopefully pass this on, because this is need-to-know information if you have not been informed. When I found this out, I was just, gosh, where am I going to find a money tree? Who has a money tree? I know I don't, and I mean, unless you're lucky and you found that miracle, maybe you might, but this is when I came up with the cost. This cost for me was $10.35, and that was just to get the notary done for the civil indigent form I had mentioned before, which you do have to make sure you get that turned in. And then I had the fingerprint, which was $40.50. My total cost was $50.85. I mean, there was no cost for any other cost except for maybe the ink, the paper, the gas to get there. But I got to be able to go into the judge's chambers rather than the courtroom. It was a lot more quaint. I did have to mention this here. This is my little chart that I really had to bring up to you because this is going to show you the time it took for me to do this. Now, I mentioned before it costs, so what, it takes 6 months or longer? Well, this here, July 26 and 27, that was when I filled out all the paperwork that I needed to print. And then on that following Monday, the 28th, I went down and I submitted all my paperwork. And then, that also includes the indigent form, by the way. And then on the 31st, I went down and got my fingerprints done, which, remember, you might be able to get those waived, so look into it. It's just a little bit more of a savings if you're the biological parent. Now, on August 1st, we had Dustin's birthday. He's 18 now. So things are really starting to move along, but I'm still kind of curious how much more time is this going to take? So on August 5th, I received copies from Dustin's attorney, not mine, Dustin's attorney, and basically it was hearing dates of when we were going to go see the judge in her chambers. So on August 6th, Dustin gives me a call and tells me that she's going to come over that following Friday if that was okay. I was fine with that. So August 8th is when the attorney actually came to my home, which was also a plus. I didn't have to take my son anywhere. She came to me, made sure we understood everything. It's just a wonderful, wonderful lady. And then on August 18th, mind you, July 26th to August 18th, we got to go to the judge's chambers for the hearing to do the actual final process. That took about 10 minutes. Now, I did have to get a waiver from my husband. I thought that was kind of silly, but I went through the roll of it all, and I could not find a waiver or consent form stating that my husband was okay with me going into the to go and get the applications and everything started, the form started for this. So I decided I wasn't going to. I found this form online, and it was actually a custody type paperwork and forms that I actually had to revise. And Dustin, I'm sure, is getting bored. If anybody can hear him yawning in the background, he's being my audience, but he's obviously being bored to tears, and hopefully you're not, because I really wanted this video to be beneficial. So with this, I just wanted to bring that to you. You will have to get a waiver form. I will have at my website, www.awaythroughautism.com, where you can have a link to get to these revisable forms that will hopefully help you. You will have to update this information annually, just basically reviewing that, just basically saying you're still living where you're living, or if it's changed, if he's working. Simple, easy forms to fill out. But as far as going into the judge's chambers, isn't that a little bit more comforting than having to go into the courthouses? So this month, Strong Mothers, Altering Autism's Reality Together. That's what S.M.A.A.R.T. Mom stands for. And if you're a strong mom, which I know you are, you'll surely pass this video on. I hope this has helped you like it has me. And until then, big hugs. Take care.
Where is the moment we needed the most? You kick up the leaves and the magic is lost. Tell me your blue skies fade to gray. Tell me your passion's gone away, and I don't need no carrying on. You stand in the line just to hit a new low. You're faking the smile.